starts with you, only you. A cosmic dance, the truth so true. From the ether to the earthly plane, all you seek, you can attain. The quantum flow, the light you hold, creates the story that will unfold. Every thought and step you make, the universe is yours to take. It starts with you, the mirror's hue, infinite skies reflecting you. From the void, you birth the light. Through the shadows, your soul takes flight. The winds will shift, its timeless bend. Every cycle begins again. Your energy builds, it flows, it streams, aligning rims, igniting your dream. Each vibration, each sacred sound, a universe moves resound. You are the spark, divine and true, illuminating. It's all you do. Just remember, it starts with you, the mirror's hue, infinite skies reflecting you. From the void, you birth the light. Through the shadows, your soul ignites. The path within, the path divine. Through space, your world aligns. Every rise, every fall, you're connected to it all. It starts with you, the quantum view, manifesting dreams like the morning dew. From the stillness, creation flows. Through the darkness, your spirit knows. It starts with you, only you. Through dimension, through the veil, the sacred truth, and you prevail. Now infinite, clear, and true, this road ahead, it's made for you. It all begins and ends with you. Even the chaos, through the flame, you rise anew, never the same. Every heartbeat, every sign weaves your essence, soaring high. The cosmos bends to your command. Creation blooms within your hand. It starts with you, only you, only you. It starts with you. Welcome in the space family. Happy Sunday. We're getting started a little bit early tonight because we got things to do, but I want you guys to come in and hold space with me tonight as we go on this journey. I'm going to get into the disclosures. I share my experiences on my journey to healing. I am a certified life coach, and my mission is simple: to restore the knowledge of self rooted in balance, truth, justice, reciprocity, and divine knowing within me. And the beautiful thing is, you don't have to abandon everything that you've been taught to receive what's available. Access is already in you as well. Now, let me remind you of something very powerful, and I quote, "The works that you see me do, you can also do, or even greater works in most cases." And how can we do these works, Ty, you ask? By gaining the power from within yourself. So lend me your mean time as we go on this journey of unfolding tonight. Because if you don't recognize your responsibility in this process, everything you do is useless. So if it don't apply, let it fly. If some apply and some don't, eat the meat and spit out the bones. If it all applies, eat it all and apply the knowledge. Give me a minute, family. Y'all come in and hold space with me. Say hello as y'all get in the building. We're going to get on these intentions in just a minute. Say hello. But to get me some paper towel. Y'all say hello. We're going to get into these intentions and hold space for a little while. Welcome in the space, family. For those of you that are new, come in. Let's get these intentions. So I invite you to stand in the space with me as we go on the journey of unfolding. I invite not just your body, but the energy that surrounds it, your history, your lineage, your inner child, and the parts of you that learn to survive quietly. Take a deep breath with me. Let it travel beyond your lungs to the places your mind kept circulating. The thoughts you can't seem to put down, the stories that keep replaying in your mind. Sit with those things for a little while and ask yourself honestly, what has my mind been holding on to so tightly that it has turned into obsession? Is it right? Does it show up in the space where I don't want to look? And in this tonight, as we unpack the topic of sellout, let that be a reflection of the places that I'm showing up in that are not authentic to myself. We're going to reclaim ourselves tonight. And we recognize our places in this system of white supremacy, in the system of the 9 pillars that we're using unconsciously and we don't recognize it. And in that, I see my place in that, and you should see yours in it too. And I say, and so it is. Hotep family, welcome in. Say hello as y'all get in the space. Topic tonight is sellout. I'm going to welcome you back into the space. For those of you that are new, my name is Tyson Matawi, and I welcome you where it starts with you, where there's no shame, blame, or judgment. However, we do hold ourselves and one another accountable. But here in this space, things are a lot different than the places that you usually visit. So come and hold that space for a little while, and you'll see how different it is. And as we expand, if you want to remain anonymous, actually just shoot it to my chat and I'll actually read on your behalf, so your identity doesn't have to be revealed. But I encourage you to be active and show up in the chats if you need to. Ask the questions that they told you not to ask. Because here the goal is not to shame anybody. The goal is awareness. And we don't just talk about systems. We look at how we participate in those systems. And how we show up for ourselves, and how we neglect ourselves as well. We look at all the things. Welcome in, family. Give me just a minute. Sorry about that. I want to make sure my Bluetooth was off so you guys can hear me. Let me make sure. I don't want to keep going and then find out later that something strange is happening. Tonight is going to be a beautiful bill and a beautiful topic. And I don't want us to miss any part of that. So give me a second. Let me fix my stuff. All right, I think we're good. We're in business. So we're showing up with awareness. That's what we're going to show up with tonight. Oftentimes we have these uncomfortable truths that we got to sit with. And tonight is not going to be any different. Ty is going to come and give you uncomfortable truth after uncomfortable truth. And we have to sit in it because we told before that we're getting rid of the goat. We're not aligned. We're not taking this goat with us. We're going to hold ourselves accountable and show up in the responsibility that we have to have for ourselves. So last week we unpacked the topic of oppression, not just the system, but our participation in those systems. And we're not going to do anything different tonight, because we can blame someone else all we want. That's what we know. That's what our culture has taught us. Blame it on the devil, blame it on something else outside of you. But we don't do that over here. We accept reality. And I'm not saying that you can't change. So as we move throughout the night, don't take that as saying that you cannot change, but we're being present to understand that regardless of what the situation is, good or bad right now, you can change that. But what we're talking about is reality, what things actually are right now, current and in the present. So we're not saying that you can't change. However, what I am saying is right now that I'm going to be talking about some uncomfortable truths about those systems that we participate in and how it reflects the narrative that we've been fed and that they want you to follow. Who is they, Ty? I'm glad you asked. This whole system of white supremacy is built around they. And we're going to tap into what that looks like tonight. And on It Starts With You. If you're not aware, we go against the grain over here. Nothing is the way that they want you to have it. It doesn't work like that over here. You know? So for those of you that don't want to fool with Ty, I understand. It's because you're just wanting and you're just waiting on your opportunity to crack the whip. I get it. You're just waiting on your opportunity to say, it's my turn to crack the whip on Ty. And that's only because you're in love with the white supremacy system unknowingly, and you're so deep into it. You're so deep into the sellout mode that you can't even recognize what's happening right before your eyes. I'm gonna call you a black bourgeoisie, and you're just like the crackers. And before you start clutching your pearls and getting all up in your feelings, go and look up at the history and the origin of the word cracker, the context, and why they called it cracker. This topic is about sellouts, and it's so beautiful, and it's going to be deep, and it's going to penetrate. It should penetrate your spirit. But it includes everything within those 9 pillars. Those systems need consumers. All those 9 pillars. If you weren't here to watch it before, I hope you can go and watch a clip of it, and I named them off. So those believers, your defenders and protectors. And last week, we asked the important questions. Are you resisting the system, or are you sustaining it? Are you contributing to the solution, or are you part of the problem? And tonight, we take the conversation even further. Topic tonight is sellouts. And I had a feeling that some people are going to be in their feelings about this one. Why, Ty? I believe that some will be in their feelings because the system was created with a narrative so that you would react this way, so that you would get offended when somebody says something that you don't like. That's why, and that's how the system is created. The narrative that they fed you is say anybody says anything about what you believe or what they told you was true, get offended and tell them. And I'm going to make a suggestion at this time that's going to help you along this journey. I want you to take everything that have to do with white America and go in the opposite direction. So if they say to you, Ty, don't go over there and listen to Ty. Go against that. Go against whatever they tell you don't do, because that's the pathway. That what they're giving us, we shouldn't trust it. We've been trusting it way too long. And they have mastered our nature in the process of us trusting them. And they have the understanding that we naturally are people that thrive on peace, justice, and righteousness. Welcome in, family. And in Kemet, they didn't teach people, they diagnosed people. It was about discovery. Kemet discovers, what already existed before language. They knew. These people knew that they couldn't do anything with our bodies. They knew that we were naturally tenacious. So they take your mind and they play all these mental I'm gonna call it magic tricks. They play all these magic tricks, so you'll get on there and you'll defend something that you know nothing about, without the thought that where did they even get this from? And don't even read it, don't even know for themselves. And I'm just like, how are y'all doing all these mental gymnastics about something you know nothing about? They knew that you would do this. So they had to come up with a way to make us think that something outside of us was an ultimate authority. When the fact of the matter is, you're being ushered into a way of thinking. And that thinking goes retrograde to your nature. And tonight we're unpacking that. And it's crazy to me why we don't have more questions about these things that they gave us. It just blows my mind. We're so quick to want to answer questions. Somebody asks you something, I got to answer it quick. And I just don't understand that. And the craziest thing is, if they still have that type of influence on us after everything they did to us, I did. I am in charge of me. Thank you for that, beloved. That's why. That's who I am. And if they still influence us through the ways that they buck broke us, go back through that that horrific history. I do too. Thank you, beloved. Go back through that horrific history. And that's the silliest thing I ever heard. But the system of white supremacy has groomed us to ask silly questions, and they groomed us to be this way towards our own people. We don't do this to other people. We only do it to our own. We celebrate the downfall of our own people. And we're unpacking that tonight. What's showing up in your space that you get some type of gratification out of condemning, out of getting on here, asking your people, out of saying, don't fool with them? What gives you the gratification from that? That's a self evaluation time. And Ty puts it out there. And I have no shame in saying what I say and standing on it. And nor do I have any issue with, if it's wrong, correcting it. That's what righteousness looks like. So we have to know, family, what we're standing on. And what the harsh truth is, with all this information that I show up with day after day, we're still out here thinking. We're still out here saying that Mary and Eve and all of these people are our ancestors. This is what white supremacy does. It tells you, remove what you know, what you resonate with naturally. Remove that and come over here with us. Family, they're using your nature against you. And turn around after all that, we'll sit up here with our chest out. We'll just be proud. These people have convinced you to go against your own people and you're staying proud. That's just craziness to me. And unconsciously, we're just selling our people out. And a lot of you know what you're doing. Welcome in, family. A lot of you know what you're doing. So I say unconscious, but some of you are doing it consciously. But remember, we unpack knowing and unknowing and what that looks like, and the responsibility that we share in it. Your pastor even told you, even if I tell you and it's wrong and you go and do it, you still gonna be held accountable for it. So they told you they're not responsible for you. They tell you all the time. Y'all turned y'all back. Y'all turned y'all back on people just like they did Jesus back in that day. And I'm saying that figuratively. I'm not saying it as if it really happened. I'm just saying it to demonstrate a point. So please listen. Don't tussle with me in the comments. Don't tussle with me behind the scenes. Don't do it. I'm just using it for shits and giggles, and I use it as allegory to demonstrate a point. And because I specialize in that, I give it to you that way. This is the same thing that y'all do with y'all celebrities. It's what they did to Jesus. No, it's not, Ty. Well, let's unpack that and let's have the conversation. And let's leave your feelings at the door before we jump in. Because we're going to test some theories tonight. Ty liked that test some theories. They are aware, family, that some of this white supremacy stuff can't penetrate our nature. They know that, that they know what they're dealing with because they've been studying us for a long time now. We're the only ones. Let me show you how they play in y'all face. So they created a narrative to bait you in. Because naturally, family, because I'm giving you all these things. Ty, you saying that ain't in our nature. What they giving us, what is in our natures? Peace, justice, righteousness. Watch this. I'm gonna start with y'all's Jesus. Okay? Not as if it really existed. I'm saying it to demonstrate a point. I have to be clear when I say that, because people come in on this part and be like, oh, okay. This ain't that. So the nigga was going around getting crowds of people. The people was loving on him. He was traveling to and fro, all over up and through there. He built this following. So the Pharisees and the scribes were looking for an opportunity. They were going around asking him questions randomly to try to catch him up. This is what I mean by, if y'all live by this literature and stop taking it literally, you can really eat off of this. Welcome in, family. You can really eat off of this knowledge. These are principles on a Christian level. I'm giving it to you this way, but of course, I'm going to have to take it back to the origin. I have to. But I'm going through this so I can demonstrate a point to you. Now, when I give you this, let me give it to you theoretically, right? Because I know y'all like to tussle. I'm going to give it to you the way you know. But when I give it to you, my aunt's way, I want y'all to keep the same energy. Okay? All right. So Jesus demonstrated peace by teaching forgiveness. He demonstrated justice by standing against unfairness, and righteousness by living a life of compassion and moral integrity towards others. He started, when they started messing with the church's money, he had something to say about it. And he did. He started healing people. He started calling people out on their foolishness. That message about those things that showed up, he challenged the narrative. And some of those powerful leaders at that time said, you know what? We ain't going for this. This nigga gotta go. We gotta get him out of here because he's messing up the church's money. And don't act like you don't know. If you haven't, I can't tell y'all to go back and look at the teaching that I did where they said ain't no more tithe. You ain't even supposed to tithe to the forevermore. I've unpacked that before. Maybe you missed it. Maybe I'll have to go back and do it again for you. I don't know. But your text says tithing was taken away from the priest forevermore. So they said the brother gotta go. Get him out of here. So they said, what can we do? I want him dead. So let's come up with this narrative. Let's come up with this narrative, right? So they came up with this plan to try to get this done. Because his influence was getting too large. He was getting too big for his britches. So he got all these crowds following him. So God forbid that the people get on your side of righteousness. And those leaders saw him as an issue. He became a problem to his own people. So what did they do? They accused him of blasphemy, and they presented him to the Roman government, and someone claiming to be a king. That's what they said. He's supposed to be the king of all kings. This is how they gave it to him. Not literally, but according to your allegory. And they voted to crucify the same man that was healing and standing up to these bullies. What does that look like, Ty? I got you. We can take any of these people that we say we're fans of, that we're rocking with. Let me give you an example. R. Kelly. Man, in the 90s, y'all loved this man more. Y'all was throwing panties on the stage for this man. Let me use him as an example. When he was going along with the program, they was pushing him out there to y'all. They was giving that man y'all daughters. Welcome in, family. They was giving him your nieces. Nobody was saying nothing. Y'all made babies to this man's music. Welcome in, family. Y'all made babies to this man's music. He was the greatest of all times. You ask anybody right now today, they're a little bit on the fence now. But if you ask anybody who is the king of R&B, what y'all gonna say? Just saying. And the crazy thing is he had been doing what he's been doing, what they accused him of, and what they're putting them in jail for. He's been doing that the whole time. But what happened was he started asking questions about his creative rights to his own people. The stuff that he created, the thing that he was like, this is mine. I wrote it. It belongs to me. Now they started seeing that he messing up the church's money. He is coming in, messing with our money label. So we got to get him out of here. That's when it got real serious. And here comes the legal cases emerging, the media, the justice, and I use that lightly, the justice system that they tell you it's supposed to be fair, which is not really a justice system because it's unjust. They send you to jail and they put you, when you go on trial, they say, I'm going to give you a jury of your peers. And none of these people are from where you from. So how, Sway? Make that make sense. How is it that this is a jury of my peers and these are my people and I got YT people in this jury? They don't know nothing about my culture. They don't know nothing about my upbringing. They don't know nothing about hard times. They don't know what it's like to eat noodles for breakfast. They don't know what it's like to go without meals. They don't know. So how are these my people? This was the case and it was supposed to be just, we would not be the largest population in jail because somebody that would be our people would want to hear the evidence. They don't already have their made up minds. We are the fairest people naturally. We'll look out. I heard Candace Owens say Black people are going to be the ones to save people because it's natural for us. And the craziest thing is they're putting our people in jail, and a lot of them are not even guilty. But anyway, let me go back to the story. They had to get him gone. And the best way to do it is to get his people to crucify him. So I can hear y'all saying, crucify him. And y'all did just that. I've never seen so many people jump off the wagon, ban his music, crucify him. Don't play none of his music. Let's put a ban out. We don't want nothing to do with this pedophile. Selling your own people out. And it didn't just happen to him. Oh no, that ain't how we roll. It happens more frequently than one would think. What about y'all did Bill the same way? Mike Tyson, y'all did him the same way. Jump ship. P. Diddy. At no point am I saying that I condone what they did. Period. But what I am saying is, what about Epstein? What about those people that did the same thing? And actually, even worse, the nigga guy had an island. And they got pages and pages of documents showing this. This brother makes R. Kelly looks like child play. And nobody stopped to think about even with the Diddy situation, who made these tunnels? Who he got it from somewhere? Where did he get it from? That's not our behavior. Somebody owned that house before he did. So what was they doing? Nobody even asking those questions. Why I don't see the same energy y'all give y'all own people to these people? Let me guess. White is right. Let me guess. This system was built on self-hatred, and we are unpacking that tonight. They create these narratives and just run with them and give them to y'all, and y'all run with them. And we yet not understand that we have so much richness and so much evidence that this system don't work for us. Our ancestors left us so much evidence, and they're having a hard time trying to remove it. So tonight I'm saying something that you're standing on, that you're so proud of. You stand on this Jesus they gave you. You're just so confident in this slave master's God. I stand on my art. So regardless of your religion, say Ty said, and you can go and run tell this. I don't care if it's Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, whoever it is. You need to go back to the soil of your ancestors that stand on the principles of peace, justice, and righteousness. The colonizer's religion is not built on having those things. They are there to benefit off of us. And all the time they're knowing, they are aware that they're inferior, family. So they create these narratives by giving you little things. They give you the white doll babies, let you play with the white doll babies so you can have the idea that black, and I seen a study on this one time. They had these little beautiful little black babies in there, and they was giving them baby dolls, and they had learned through the system. And that's why the Pope tells people, give me your children. Because they wouldn't pick up the black doll babies because they were bad. When we should know, and grandma and them used to tell us, the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. Shout out to Irma Lee, peace to the God. My grandmother was a black, short, beautiful. She used to say, "Blacker, I'm tough and I'm well put together, just like a piece of leather." And she used to tell me all the time, "The blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice." That means something. Our ancestors knew something that we don't know, seems like. And I gotta say it, if white is so right, why is nature destroying it? Why, if it's so right, why is nature destroying it? These people can't even be out in the sun. I can go out and sunbathe all day and I just get recharged and it just shows up. I get this energetic boost. They can't do that. If it's so right, why is it so wrong? Why is it so wrong? I'll wait. And the craziest thing is that the text tells you, if you use it in a proper context and know that it was plagiarized and who they stole it from. It says you will know the unseen things from the seen things that are seen, including the Godhead. What do you see out here? What do you see out in nature? Things that have color, things with melanin. And all alone, they are the inferior ones. They are the cowards. They are the ones that operate in fear and low frequency, but they trained you how to be like them. Because they know they're not capable of reaching the levels that we can reach, family. Dr. Simatawa and I were chopping it up earlier, and we was talking about Shaka Zulu. If you haven't watched that movie, go and rewatch it. If you have, welcome in, family. If you watched it, beautiful. If not, let me give you an idea of what it looks like, right? So Shaka and them, the white people coming over, bringing a Bible in their hand, telling these people all about God. And welcome in, family. Telling these people all about God. I'm gonna come over here and show you my God. And they had got into this war, and they had only they had their creation, the gun. They showed up. That's one thing I will give them credit for, is the gun. They did not create everything else. Come on, that's us. They can have their little gun. Because they're cowards. But anyhow, so the niggas they went up against, and I'm talking about the Zulus, they went up against these guns and these cannons. They still gave them the business. And when it was all over, the white men was, nursing their wounds and, tending to their stuff. The Shaka said, where was your God? Because I came in and I was the one that saved you. You should be looking at me for that, because he didn't show up, and you need to have a conversation with that brother and see where was he at when Shaka was saving you. We have to wake up, family, because they are using your God-like values against you. They are using reverse psychology against you. And we have to look at this thing from that perspective. We have to recognize that if you don't have those principles of you're operating outside of your nature. So we're going to get even more uncomfortable. So ladies, if you're in this space, I want you to put your big girl panties on. Fellas, hold your nuts. Whatever it is that y'all do, bring them in close to your body. Whatever you need to do. YT people, you may want to keep on scrolling. This probably is not the platform for you. Today ain't the day. The uncomfortable space that we are entering tonight will lead you to growth. If you eat, examine your life and see how it shows up for you. So what are the things that we need to have, Ty? I'm glad you asked because I have so many questions and I have so many answers to the things that we need. Three of those things is your culture. They are not like us. I don't care what they told you. They are not like us. They don't care about any of those things that I'm going to be bringing into the space. I didn't know you was a racist. Evidently, we don't know the difference between prejudice and racism. Let me share it with you real quick. So simply put, prejudice is a bias, belief, or an attitude. Bias attitude. Racism is prejudice combined with the power and a system that enforces inequality. And I'm going to say this, and you can quote me on this. I don't believe Black people are capable of being racist. Prove me wrong. And when you understand your nature and the origin, you can live on the principles of my op taught us to keep balance through a justice and right actions every day. It told you to do the right thing even when nobody is looking. That's what my op teach you. But your religion that was plagiarized from the source, and it created these narratives to suit them and what they wanted out of you. They condensed all those laws down. And they gave you 10 commandments. Make that make sense? How they give you 10 out of all those laws? Shouldn't we stand on those 10 commandments, Ty? Where is the righteousness in it? There is none without balance. And you teach it so tough. Y'all will fall on the sword for this narrative that somebody else gave you. That you forgot that Jesus told you he didn't come to abolish the law. This is your text that told you. I'm not trying to get rid of the law. I came to fulfill. And what you were left with is a belief system that tells you, wait until you die. You're going to be plushed out when you die, though. Make that make sense. I'm going to be living good when I die. Instead of operating in balance while you're alive. What does that look like for you? How about you live now and live in balance and peace and righteousness and justice? And I know you're thinking, Ty, I am righteous because those 10 commandments keep me righteous. No, they don't. They do not, because you keep doing what it is it tells you not to do. It tells you don't fornicate, but you keep doing it. And you keep breaking all the commandments. That's why they told you were born a sinner. So that natural thing that shows up, that causes you to indulge, is being suppressed. So that natural thing to want to connect and make a bond with a woman, to experience that intimacy with a woman that's natural to you, you're going to press it down because they told you were sinful. They told you don't lust. Of course you would think that. And you mean to tell me you think that's being righteous? Letting people beat you and taking people your taxes as the first fruit. You think that's righteous? I don't understand that, how you think that I'm going to take the church a tenth of my income, even though they don't need it. That's righteous. You barely getting by. But you think it's okay to let your pastor live high on the hog and you worried about tomorrow. When you know damn well you're helping pay for that hog. You think it's righteous to let them spit on you? For you to turn the other cheek? No, y'all don't think like that. Because y'all quick to say God ain't through with me yet after you didn't turn the cheek. Because it's not natural. That is not natural for you to turn a cheek and a nigga slap you in your face and listen, I was in school one day and this guy was kind of liking on me and I seen somebody walk up and slap him in the face. I said, oh, never. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Listen, with my aunt, I could say it. I did not do it unlawfully. Come to slap me if you want to. Do it. Do it. You ain't got to make and the crazy thing is you don't have to make no excuses about doing what you're doing because it's natural for you. These urges and these things that you're trying to suppress is natural. It's natural for me if you come and slap me for me to slap the taste out your mouth right back, and it's probably gonna be worse. And then because I did it in balance and righteousness and justice, you earned it. It's lawful for you to take something if your children is hungry. I guarantee you right now that none of you will leave out of a store. I guess I must have violated something. My apologies. I don't know what. I already know how it go when you start speaking truth and facts. And the algorithm get the algorithming. It's lawful for somebody try to come in your house and unalive you that you do it first. You did not do it unlawfully because your nature is something different than what they give you. Look, they asked Jesus, out of all these commandments, which one is the greatest? Brother said, out of all of these, love God with all your heart, soul, and mind. Love your neighbor as yourself. He explained that out of everything I gave you, depend on those two principles. So if that's the case, why not just give us the two? Everything else in the law is supposed to come from those two ideas. And this is why you're allowing yourself to be a part of a justice system that they have no justice. They have no peace and there is no righteousness. You're subscribing to their gods, their Greek and Roman gods, and don't even know it. They didn't care nothing about no balance. How you know, Ty? You would know the unseen things from the things that are seen, including the Godhead. I know how they act, and ain't no peace, ain't no justice, ain't no righteousness in them. They believe in raping people. They believe in all the things that are horrible. They believe in those things. They love on little boys. They think that that's the highest form of love. They call that the agape love is the highest love that I have is for me as a man to have a little boy. And this is what y'all doing. Y'all are saying unconsciously, give us Barabbas. That's what y'all doing. Give us Barabbas. You are allowing them to come in and tell you that you have a God that don't look like you. And don't act like y'all when you was growing up that you didn't have that white man up on the cross, up on the arm, on the pictures. Don't act like you didn't do it. Either you did it or your grandma and mama and them had it. They tell you it's the Father and the Son that make up the Trinity. And there's no woman in the Trinity. Please. You and I both know no child can come in this world without a mother and a father. The child is a bonus. That is the Trinity. The Father, the Mother, and the Son. Her, the Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh. If you don't know that, you should. We have to be mindful of those three things I named. And ma'at, that peace, justice, and righteousness, they work together like parts of the same system. If one is missing, balance break. Ty, can you tell me those three again? I got you. Peace. Without justice, you can't have it. If there's a peace but no justice, it means people are being quiet when unfair things are still happening. You know what it's like when you was in that home and mama told you don't say nothing to nobody. What goes on in this house stays in the house. There's no peace without justice. And if you don't say anything, that silence is betrayal. This isn't real balance. It's just silence with injustice continued. And if they are telling you don't question God, and it's in his will to stay quiet instead of addressing the wrongdoings that's happening. You may think it's peace on the surface, but there's no real justice. Number 2, justice without righteousness. Justice requires people to do what is morally right. And if you don't have righteousness, good character, and honesty, justice becomes corrupt and unfair. And everybody knows somebody that's right now affected by some type of corruption or some type of unfairness. Because the people enforcing it are not acting morally. They are not, it's not in their nature. So when they have those rules set up and they can do, they can do it, but you can't. I was just telling the story about boy there in Coshada, how if that was a black man, I hope I can say that without getting flagged. If that was a black man, they would have put him under the jail. Unless only Emmett Till whistled at a white woman, and they messed him up so bad. We're talking about a grown man fiddling with a child. It's cool when they do it. It's a problem when you do it. Number 3, righteousness without peace. Someone might personally try to do the right thing, but if society has constant conflict and disorder, righteousness alone cannot create stability for anyone. They have to be cohesive. Adopting those values of the dominant and helping reinforce the system they once opposed. So a sellout isn't just someone who disagrees. It's someone who reinforces the system that harms their own people. And you're harming your own people. So tonight I have a hypothesis. They like when I use big words. I have a hypothesis of what's happening here. And Ty is going to call a thing a thing. Because y'all be conducting yourselves a certain way, and I need to say something about it. So I had to ask myself something before I say something, right? What deeper psychological pattern is at play here? Because as thinkers, we don't have declared answers. We should be investigating these patterns that ties unpacking. And the patterns I started noticing was, what if the framework of sin, the way we were taught in these religious systems, regardless of what your religion is, what if that framework trains you to see your instincts, your culture, your identity as something that must be constantly corrected? So what if this system is a never-ending battle, a battle of correction? What if it trains you to distrust yourself? Because if you can't trust your own nature, you're forced to rely on, the authority outside of yourself. Welcome in, Doc. I ain't see you come in here. You're going to look to something outside of yourself. And that's where things start to get interesting. Because historically speaking, we need to be honest about so many things that we've been deceived on. We did not volunteer for what's happening. We were kidnapped. They came into our lands and kidnapped us. I hope I can say that. That's a historical fact. So let's think about this logically. If a person came in and kidnapped and forced you into a new system, do you think that the conquerors or the kidnappers leave their culture, those people's culture intact? If somebody comes to your house and take your child, do you think they're going to expose them to some of the same things that you expose them to? If they want to make sure that that kid is compliant, because that kid is going to start fighting back. Those people are going to start fighting back. So I got to start grooming you. I got to start replacing the things that you can identify with. So let me ask that question again. Do you think that your conquerors leave your culture would allow you to keep what you had when you were practicing the peace, justice, and righteousness? I'll wait. Because before that disruption, our civilization had our own values, our own systems. We had our own philosophies about balance and life. Those traditions were guided by those of Ma'at. And economically, our societies were not struggling. They gave us the image that we were struggling. When I was a kid, we used to stay up when we could watch TV. They used to have all of these commercials at night about these little children, and all these children that showed up in Africa were all impoverished, like flies and stuff skating around on their eyes. That was the narrative that they had us thinking about Africa. One of the richest lands. Our societies were not struggling images that they gave us. Family, go and look up, do some homework. Go and look up Mansa Musa. His wealth would exceed the richest people alive today. Family, we were already eating. We had systems and cultures and identities, and that was stripped. So now let me ask this question, because this is a real question. Ty asked some real, live, beautiful questions. What happens when a people with their own identity, what happens when your identity was forced into a new belief? What happens? And what happens when the new system teaches you that you were born in sin? To come from, nigga, I got my own resources. I could go out into my backyard. I got food that's plentiful. I don't answer to nobody's clock. I don't have to punch no YT clock. I could tell the time of day by how the sun is positioned in the sky. And then I can arrange my father's going to set me up with this man that has to pay my bride fee So we know that he's capable of taking care of me. I don't have to worry about no independent woman situations. Then they bring us over here and tell us you were born in sin. If you have sex, you're gonna burn in hell. It's better to marry than to burn. They tell you that your instincts are dangerous and you're just naturally fallen. Cover up your body because Eve ate an apple in the garden. Cover up. Right now, today, you could go to Africa and still see people that they're not lustful. We're not a lustful people. You can walk around, see these people walking around naked, and nobody's like, oh, I want to touch that. None of that is happening. But they're telling you that your desires must be corrected. Your reward will come later after you die. That is called cultural replacement. They are replacing your culture with what they think you should have. Then something changed. They separated you from your language and your traditions. And over time, a new framework was introduced to you. Now think about that. What that does to you psychologically. Because if someone grows up hearing those messages long enough, I can only imagine. You know what? Dr. Simatai would oftentimes go to Africa and he talks about how confident those women are. And that it don't sit right with me. Why is it that those women can be so confident? What are we missing here in the US of A that we don't have and we don't walk with this confidence? Because they have shamed us. Welcome in, family. Thank you, Boss Twin. Welcome in. I'm sorry. What is it that they have trained us to experience that we think less of ourselves? We're just embarrassed about our bodies. We're ashamed. Turn the lights off. We distrust our own instincts. And once that happens, you rely on those external authorities. They gave you their sky daddy. So now you got to look outside of yourself rather than looking internal. Rather than going off of what Ma'at teaches you, it teaches you will know the unseen things from the things that are seen. You know what's showing up in you now on the outside of you. That shame that you're carrying about your body, ladies. You know what that is if you look internal. And if that authority came from the system that conquered it, you begin to see those tensions, and we can see it in our reactions every day. I'm just like, oh my God, what is happening to our Black women? We are so, and I can't dismiss myself. We have such jealous hearts. We have such resentment toward our own sisters. So tonight, my hypothesis is simple. Sometimes people believe they are being faithful to a system while unknowingly reinforcing a system that historically worked against you. You feel loyal to it, but culturally you've been disconnected from your own foundation. And it don't have to be intentional, but through inherited beliefs that we never examined. It shows you. So I'm curious, and I have so many questions. When I come on here, I'll be like, what about this? What about that? How do we sit up and inherit a system and never stop to ask where it came from? I never hear a Christian say, well, where would this come from? They just say it was divine. What did if they say Jesus was up on the mountain, it was just him and the devil, how in the world? Where did it come? Who told this story? It was divinely written. So you're going to leave it up to someone human to interpret based on their own trauma, based on their own perceptions, bringing their own self into it, their own emotions. And you're going to tell me, come on, please. Thank you. Come on, please. How do we lose connection to our own traditions and defend the replacement system with more audacity and more fierceness than the system itself? The way y'all go for Christianity, they just sit back and let y'all work. I have never in life seen a YT person go as hard as a Black Christian. Never. Never seen it. It survives because when they give it to you when you're babies and you grow up with it, and it's indoctrination. They give it to you for such a long time. When it happens, the system no longer needs to force you. It survives through your beliefs. And that's why tonight we're asking hard question. Whose values are you really living by right now today? I'm not talking about yesterday. Whose values are you living by today? And not only that, don't stop there. Who benefits from it? If we never examine the framework of what they've given us, we inherited some foolishness. We unknowingly, most of you know, and I know you know because you done heard, I done seen you on my lives when I come in here and hold space. Most of y'all know. And you will protect this very system that replaces us. Think about that for the moment, for just a moment. The system no longer needs chains. It no longer needs force. Because once you believe the story, or once you got it in your mind, and once they give it to you from a baby, you will reinforce it on your own. And y'all started correcting anybody who start questioning it. And you got it bad. Don't question my God. Don't put your mouth on the man of God. Be careful who you speak on. And that's when psychological control becomes the strongest, because now the system is no longer controlling you. You are controlling each other. And one of the ways that happened historically was through language, through labels, through naming. The names that they gave us, we started calling each other. For example, many of us grew up hearing two terms used in our communities. We heard Sambos and Uncle Toms. Now today, those two words are usually used to mean the same thing: a sellout, someone who betrays their people. But historically speaking, those two ideas come from a very different place. Let me paint a picture. And let me share with you where the origin of these stories came from. The image of Sambo was a stereotype created during slavery. It was the slaveholder person that they picked, they handpicked, they cherry picked them to promote them to a higher level as a slave. Because they would give them the yes sir master. They was obedient. They was passive. They let things happen, and they wasn't gonna speak out about it. They was content with the system. They would smile and say, "We sick today, boss? We sick today, master?" While reinforcing they would reinforce that system that harmed them. But then there was another name that started circulating, Uncle Tom. That name came from a book called Uncle Tom's Cabin. And in the original story, Uncle Tom was not a traitor. He was actually someone who refused to betray other enslaved people, even when he was being punished. He endured suffering rather than turning against his own people. And this is what y'all don't do. Y'all let these people come into your neighborhood. I remember I don't remember how far back. This is, I think, somebody's brother from Coshada. So two white T men came up in Coshada in the projects and gunned a man down. Black, I hope I can say black without getting any violation. Gunned a black man down in broad daylight. And the niggas left and nobody did nothing. Y'all telling these people, we'll take Barabbas. Crucify Jesus. That meaning got flipped somewhere. And now it's used as the term of Uncle Tom to describe a sellout. And that ain't what it is. Think how powerful that is. Even the definitions have changed. And you never stop to ask why. We just don't ask enough questions. You can look deeper. There's another document. I'm going to look deeper. There's another document often referencing when talking about the psychological control during slavery. I unpacked this before, and the cracker, explained it well. I could say that. Welcome in, Doc. I can go and I can hold space with this, and I can say it. You go and look it up if you get offended. So, Willie Lynch, the letters that he was at, they had a strategy: divide the people, turn them against each other, create this internal distrust, and make them police each other. Because once people begin to enforce the system for one another, the system can last for generations. He was creating y'all to be Barabbases. And I'm not saying that you are Barabbas. I'm saying they say, give me Barabbas. Y'all go ahead and hang. I know we unpacked this letter before. I'm going to go do it really quick. I got 30 minutes. Welcome in, family. I got 30 minutes. I think I'm doing good. Okay. But for those of you that are new here, let me put you on. I'm going to go through it really, really quickly. All right. Oh, Lord, I know it's water that tastes good right now. Oh, yeah, of course it is. Alkaline, to be exact. Alkaline water. So the slave owner, they was actually having issues a lot of times in the South with their slaves running away. So they, let me change that. They kidnapped thousands of Africans, but they kept running away because you couldn't keep us. We was tenacious. We didn't care about dying. That's YT stuff. We didn't care about dying because we knew that we weren't these physical bodies. And then we knew that energy could not be destroyed. We knew that, but we kept running away. It was so bad that they started getting worried because first thing that they thought about, well, hey, the Courtney, welcome in, beautiful. First thing they started worrying about it, we done brought all these thousands of Africans over here. We outnumbered and they stronger than us. They can think these people, and then secondly, they realized that, these slaves are rebellious. And they realized that the physical force that they had tried to control them wasn't working. So that fear that we know about so well, it worked for a while, but it didn't stick. So when they say, yea, do I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall feel no evil. That's their stuff. That ain't us. If that would have been a person, you put a white T person up there and let them wave, because we weren't fearful. Because our slaves at the time, they had values, they had morality, and they knew about freedom. So in the efforts to try to, put a stop to this, they heard a rumor. They said, somebody came and in the wind, a rumor came in. We know this guy, he from the West Indies. The brother name is Willie Lynch. He got a large plantation of slaves and nobody's trying to run away. So they got together and they came up with a bright idea that they want to invite Mr. Willie or Willie down here, to our plantation so we can solicit their advice and get, he can put us on game about what we need to be doing. So he accepted the invite. So he packed up his things and he traveled down to him. But while he was in his commute, while he was traveling on his way to these places, he began to see enslaved people. Lots of them hanging from the trees, their bodies swinging. He could smell the death in the air. Who was that song? The song about they could smell. I'm not sure. I hope I can say that for YT. They're unalive and in the air. Lots of them were hanging from trees. And he got sad. Now, I know when you hear that part, I can see why he would get sad. Ty, I can see that. That's a beautiful reason for somebody to get sad. But the sadness wasn't about grievance or the humans that were suffering. And it wasn't. The sadness that he was experiencing was about all that money, all that lost labor, all that lost productivity, all that lost profit. So he told the slave master something important to prevent them from losing their money, to prevent them from losing their labor, their productivity. You're doing this all wrong. If you destroy the people, you lose the labor. If you destroy the people, you losing your money. You paid for these people you kidnapped. So instead of destroying them physically, you have to break them psychologically. Welcome in, family. Because they are Africans and we know they're thinkers. This is why they keep getting away. So let's turn them on themselves. Let's turn them against one another. Let's pull them on them. Make them distrust their own instincts. And then you won't have to punish them. Topic tonight, sellouts. Think about that. This weapon of mass destruction is so powerful, and regardless of being right or wrong, it becomes normal, it becomes true. But here's the problem that we're going to be facing with that. Just because something is normal, so that's because it does not make it true. And just because something has been taught for a long time, doesn't mean that somebody's examined or questioned it properly. And I know the evidence of that. But and what is the evidence, Ty? I can right now say something about a scripture in the Bible, and some of you have never even heard it. You know nothing about it. Some of the stuff you're doing right now today is a result of you trusting something that was true. It's about you trusting what grandmama and them said. Or great grandma and them said, didn't know that they were saying it because that's what they learned to survive. And you make your decisions on that. That's what the sellout process turns into misplaced trust. Think about it. If someone convinces you that your instincts are wrong, that your nature is flawed, that your thoughts can't be trusted, you stop trusting yourself. And once you do that, you begin trusting the system that suppresses you, even if the system works against you. I remember the elders used to tell us back in the day, believe half of what you see and none of what you hear. We just don't listen. Believe half of what you see and none of what you hear. You're protecting and defending a system. Not only that, you're correcting other people who question it, who question that. And eventually you start enforcing it. But I bet you won't die for it. Unalive for it. Sorry, TikTok. I bet you won't alive for it. Everybody want to go to heaven, but nobody wants to unalive. I bet you won't. That's how psychological systems work. So now the real questions become, if people can inherit misunderstandings about something as simple as characters in a book, what else have we inherited without questioning? What values, what beliefs, what systems? Because sometimes the greatest control isn't physical. It's when you believe that thing, that thing without knowing for yourself. And that's when the system becomes self-sustaining. We just unpacked a lot of difficult questions. What if some of the beliefs we defend today are actually the system that replaced us, that brings us to observations that God, that we know it is dead. Now I know you're going to try to get in your feelings. Ty said God is dead. And because you're leaning on your carnal thinking, you'll misunderstand that statement. This is not saying a literal deity died. It's a cultural observation, an observation about what happens when the modern world begins to question the authorities it once trusted. What they gave you. I'm saying something changed. The old religious authorities that once defined rules, the ones that told people what was right, what was wrong, what was moral, what was sinful, those authorities were beginning to lose their unquestioned power. And when that happened, there's a lot of questions that start popping off. More people than ever are asking questions, and I'm here to witness it. I see it. These people are starting to ask questions, and y'all don't have answers to them. Because all you know is what somebody told you. You went on what somebody told you when you was a child and you was studying, and pastor said. You can't answer that question because it's in the experience. Ty was tying it in with the tie T. It's in the experience. In the experience. History shows that when nations are conquered, they'll come in and change your culture. They'll change your language. They change your education, and they don't act like we have, and don't act like we haven't seen changes in our educations even since I went to school. Even your biblical text has that those stories that support this truth. No, I don't, Ty. Listen, you remember when Israel was taken into Babylonian captivity in the book of Daniel? Maybe not. Let me share it. I'm going to share what happened in the book. So Israel was taken into Babylonian captivity. But in that process, they didn't just move the people. They re-educated them. They taught them a new language. They gave them new names. They reshaped their environment. What does that sound like? Y'all playing. They know if you influence the mind of the next generation, give me your children, influence their mind. That system it has been maintaining itself, and over time, what they was doing way back then is still working now today. It's still having effects. It has residue today, and it feels so normal now that you don't even ask question where it came from. My kids, they don't ask no questions about what they getting taught in school. They don't say nothing about, Mama, did they teach this to you when you, because it's been normalized. And that's what we find ourselves today, because sometimes your mind is loyal to that worldview, while another part of your identity is asking questions you were taught not to ask. And when that happens, naturally, you feel a kind of internal tug or internal pull. between what you were taught and what you're beginning to examine. And that's why tonight isn't about attacking your faith. What is it about, then, Ty? It's about asking a question that every community is supposed to ask. Why do we need our own value system, our own culture, our own moral framework? Because culture is so powerful. Culture teaches you how to protect your own community. Even strong communities in the world understand this. Those Asian cultures, whether we're talking about communities shaped by traditions from China, Korea, or Japan, they learned this from our ancestors. We were the ones that put them on and taught them the game. We unpacked how money is supposed to circulate 7 times before it leaves the community because it emphasizes loyalty to family, respect for elders, and maintaining group stability. They created a network that allows them to survive and grow economically. And when they have that level of cultural cohesion, they don't just consume culture, they start producing things. They define what they like, what they value, how their community operates, what they will and won't tolerate from you when you go in and patronize their businesses. Think about that. Every culture in the world has traditions that they primarily share with their own communities, their language. They have their own food, business, and networks. And here we are taking what we gave, what we're given for slops, and glorifying it. These things create a cultural ecosystem. That just means a cultural ecosystem just means that they create their own businesses. They support each other economically, and their money circulates among their own people. That's how generational wealth is built. Welcome in, family. It's economics, it's identity, it's survival, all working together. That's a part of the 9 pillars we've been unpacking. That cultural economic system is more than just traditions, especially for us. Economists call this the wealth circulation or the economic retention. And one of the principles of those pillars is the longer this money stays in our community, the stronger our community becomes. Let me show you something. I guarantee you may not even have the awareness to see it. The economists measure how long money would circulate inside a community before it leaves. They've done research on it. And not just their communities, ours. And I'm going to share with you what they say. In our community, the dollar tends to leave the community within hours. Forget 7 times. Hours, or at the most a day. What is that, Ty? Because the majority of businesses where the money is spent are owned outside of our communities, period. We don't own anything. Now think about that, what that means. If money comes into the community and leaves back immediately, wealth never has an opportunity to multiply. And that's exactly what cultural ecosystems matter. And that's what we're unpacking tonight on how we're selling out. This sellout has a huge impact on how you're contributing to the white supremacy system. And every time you get paid, you take your money and you put it into that system that's not going to do you a service. You give a tip to the church, and it's not recycled back into the community in most cases. They take your money into other people's systems. But we can't talk about that. It historically explains how these patterns were developed for centuries during slavery. We were intentionally prevented from building independent economic systems, even though they didn't want us to be a part of theirs. They still said, you know what? We don't want to be part of theirs, so let's create something. They separate us from our families. They restrict our education. They limit our property ownership rights. At one time, we couldn't even go to the bank and get a loan. The goal of slavery wasn't just labor, it was control. It was controlled labor, it was controlled movement, it was controlled opportunities. They have an inferiority complex because they know who we are. We're the only ones that don't. We're the only ones that don't know who we are. Okay, I'm pushing for time. I can get through though. We ain't got long. We don't have long. Oh. Y'all say hello as y'all get in the building. We don't know who we are. We just took what they gave us and we just, okay, I'm okay with taking whatever you want to give me. But here's the part most of you have forgotten, and I'm here to remind you of this. We control this market. We are the creators, and we control a huge part of this economic system when it comes to spending money. They don't spend money like we do. Think about those 9 pillars. Listen, go into a beauty supply store. We are the number one contributors. When I say we, I'm talking about us. We are the number one contributor to those systems. And we go into the nail shop and they do something for us, just something small. They charge us for everything. They don't get like, don't worry about it. We are the ones that do that. Don't worry about it. And we treat them that way because they have given us a system that perpetuates us being this way. They wouldn't have interesting entertainment without us. Their stuff don't sell like that. Think about sports, what we would be without the blacks. I hope this is starting to make sense, family. This is a result of historical conditioning. For generations during slavery and segregation, we were prevented from those things. But they still wanted us to think that we had some sense of autonomy in it. Look, after slavery, we started building strong economic system. We had our own Negro League. We were thriving. And they didn't like that. So they said, let's go. And let's get Satchel Paige, Oscar Charleston, and the Jackie Robinson. Let's go and get them. One of the owners said, and you can go and look this up. Don't take my word for nothing tonight. Go and look and study for yourself to know that tie. I'm not going to bring it to you and give it to you, but listen, know for yourself. One of the owners said, because at that time, the Negro Leagues was the big thing. People were showing up in droves to support this sport. They didn't necessarily want us to come to our games, but they didn't want us to be profitable either. He said, you know what? Tell them if they do it, the Satchel Pages and the Jackie Robinson, tell them if they do it, they'll be in the front line. They'll be a part of this integration system. So we'll make them think that they're doing something. When all the time the goal was to stop the competitor. They just wanted to stop the competition because wasn't nobody showing up at their shit. That was taking the money away from them, because if they go over there, they're going to get some real entertainment because these people really know how to do. They think they're good at what they do. So now the system that creates money for them, it shut down the Negro League altogether. They got these people in there into the league. And now people went and indulge in their system. And they can't stand when we get our own stuff going. But they don't mess with other people's stuff. They don't do that. We're the only people that they do that way. Let me give you an example of them, of seeing greatness in us, and they had to shut it down. They destroyed our Black Wall Street in Tulsa. That community had banks, they had doctors, they had grocery stores, they had restaurants, newspapers, hotel, you name it. There was hundreds of Black-owned businesses. People lived there, they worked there, they shopped there. They supported each other economically. It showed what was possible when a community developed its own economic ecosystem. Family, when we take something, we magnify it, and then we make that thing look so good, and they can't stand that. Listen, they know that you are genetically superior, and you'll only catch a couple of YTs saying it, but they know. Welcome in, family. Earlier I said God is dead. I'm not saying that to celebrate anything, because I recognize who I am. Did I not say that year, God? But I'm talking about the Sky Daddy. I'm warning us. What I mean is that when people stop living by peace, justice, and righteousness, the value they claim to believe in loses its power. The words may still be spoken. The books may still be read. The buildings may still be full. And I notice what you're saying. They're going to try to run them away. I don't care nothing about that. The spirit of those teaching is disappearing. And that's where the real danger of selling out begins. Not when someone outside attack a people, but when the people inside start protecting the very system that destroyed their own balance. Because when your peace is traded for comfort, when your justice is traded for position, and when your righteousness is traded for approval, the teaching is still there, but the life inside of the teaching is gone. This is why y'all got to repeat the same things over and over again. When y'all teaching this stuff to people, it's because there's no life in it. And so you got to take the things that you know works. Hey, Miss Christy, welcome in. You got to just hold on to it a little bit longer. So I'm going to sing it a little bit louder. It's not going to work. The truth shall make you free. So the real question is not what happened in the past. The real question is will we repeat? Will we repeat the patterns of turning our own truth when it challenges us? Or will we be the generation that protects peace, justice, and righteousness, no matter who makes it uncomfortable? I made good time. Come on, time, pull up. Let me say this before I get out of here. History shows us something so clear. Systems don't survive just because of power. They survive because people protect it. And even when they know those systems are not balanced, the real challenge begins when people are willing to destroy the illusion that keeps us comfortable. So I have a couple things to quote before I get out of here. And one of them is from somebody that I'm really indulging in. Thank peace to the God, Dr. Simatawi, for sharing him with me. It's Nietzsche. I'm going to get it right because I need to Nietzsche. He said, I love those who can't live except as destroyers of themselves, for they are the ones who cross over. One more time. I love those who cannot live except as destroyers of themselves, for they are the ones who cross over. What does that mean, Ty? I'm glad you asked. You, Ty, I'm going to put you on. The real transformation requires destroying the weak habits, the illusions, and the comfortable lies that keep you trapped. But the way you grow is when you are willing to confront the truth, even if it means tearing down that system or that belief that once controlled you. So in the words of Ty, and it's a powerful closing, there comes a moment in every person's life when you have to decide whether you want to keep repeating those same patterns, those same beliefs, that same heartbreak, that same experience. There comes a time in your life with those cycles that you were given for you to examine yourself. Those beliefs were never meant to guide us towards balance. They were meant to keep you small. So I'm having to tear those down. And it's hard work. And I never listen, I will tell you no lies. This is hard work to not have somebody to blame because it's so deep. But I set the intentions on my journey to not do it out of anger, but to do it out of clarity. Because once you recognize what peace, justice, and righteousness truly mean, you can't pretend to not see it anymore when it doesn't show up. And every challenge that comes from standing on those principles only made the foundation stronger. And I know you have heard all the things. And I know one thing that you done heard, what don't kill you makes you stronger. Why can't we apply this in our lives like that? And once you stand on truth, there is no going back to living beneath it. So the real question is whether we are willing to cross over, like he say, from confusion to clarity, from imbalance to balance, and from silence to truth. And I have to end this with my quote from I'm going to say my master teacher, somebody that I respect and I honor, Dr. Simatawi. He says, may your ka rest on the principles of the Dajet, which comes from the foundation of Ma'at. That was so nice. I'm going to say it twice. May your ka rest on the principles of the Dajet, which comes from the foundation of Ma'at. Hotep.